Hey, hello there, it's Peter here and welcome back. Without further ado, let's get started. First thing you need to do is to open up your Adobe Illustrator. As you can see, I have opened mine here. And the next you want to do is to create a new document. So you can do this in a number of ways. One of the ways is to come to File, then come down to New and click on this button. Another way you can do that is just by clicking on Create New button here, or you can use keyboard shortcut Ctrl N and you're going to arrive at the same window just as you have here. Next thing you want to do is to rename your file. And one thing you want to pay attention to is while renaming your file, you want to be sure that you pick a name that it will be easier for you to reference, not necessarily a name that you have to remember, because as time goes on and you're working on multiple projects, it might be difficult for you to keep track on every name that you have worked for. But there's a rule of thumb on how to make it easier. You never can tell. A client can call back several months or even several years later and request for their design. Normally you should state in your contract that this is how long you're going to keep up with their project, just in case anything happens, maybe back up issues or sort. But you should also try to keep the files as much as you can. So this is going to help you in keeping tabs and how to easily reference your file. So one thing you need to do is to create a folder for the brand. Of course, creating a folder doesn't really take space on your internal storage. We're just going to create a very well organized storage ecosystem, so it will be easier for you to know which folder you are going to and all their files are stored in there. But just in case something go wrong, you can also rename the file in a way that it will make it easier for you to pick up. For this one, I'm just going to rename it as Hot Burger Cookbook. And you should pay attention that in this name, cookbook, so if you pay attention, you're going to see that the name of the brand Hot Burger is there and the name of the project Cookbook is also there. So peradventure I need to reference this and I need to search for it very fast, I can just press my Windows or whatever it is if you're using Mac and just search for any of the two. You can search for Hot Burger or you can search for Cookbook, because some other time you might not even remember the name of the brand. You might only remember the name of the project, or you might not even remember what you saved the project with, but you can remember, maybe you remember the name of the brand. So either way, you're going to be able to easily find your file. So next thing after renaming the file is to come here under width, and this is going to be determined on what the project is meant for. This is a cookbook, so if it is 1080 by 1350, that's going to be portrait, and if it is 1350 by 1080, that's going to be landscape, because in naming file sizes the width comes first. All right, so let's get started. This is going to be 1080 pixels, by the way, by 1350. If you pay attention, automatically this will stay on portrait because we're on portrait mode. But just in case you did not get this right and you want to, maybe you intended for it to be landscape instead, you can just come here and click on this button and it's going to swap the value here for the value here. So either ways you are still on track, but because we need it for portrait, we're going to keep it portrait. And for the number of artboards, this is talking about the number of pages, and from the design I showed you earlier, we're going to be working with 3 pages, so I'm just going to increase this to 3. Then the next thing you might need to pay attention to is the color mode, because this is majorly going to be mobile based design. We are not going to be printing it, so we are going to stick with RGB. You will have to consider CMYK if they are going to print it eventually. And also, since it is mobile based, we might want to keep the raster effect low. If it's going to be printed, then you can go with 150 ppi, that is pixel per inch, or you can go as high as 300 pixel per inch. The higher the raster effect, the higher the file size and better the print quality. But because we needed it to run very fast, if you are exporting it for mobile and we are putting it at 300 ppi, it might take a longer time to load the PDF. peradventure you have opened some PDF and you found out that they are taking too long to load, it's probably that the PPI is too high. So that's why I'm going to be keeping it at 72 PPI. And trust me, 72 PPI is way better for mobile viewing. And peradventure, if saving at 72 PPI is still too large for you, then you can still come as low as 36 PPI, but recommended stay with 72 PPI. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and create this document. Then I'm going to see you on the next side.